In this section, let's talk about the service process of redis.
First is its architecture. Redis owns the self-organized architecture without a central control node. Status information is exchanged between nodes using the gossip protocol, and each node maintains the mapping relationship between key and server. A client can send the request to any node, and the node redirects the client instead of forwarding the request to another server. If the cluster topology changes during the duration after the client sends the first request, and before the request is redirected, the second redirection request will be redirected again until a target server is found. Redis data reading and writing processes are as follows. First, the client accesses any server in the cluster and sends the cluster node request. Second, the server node returns the cluster topology, including the cluster node list and the mapping relationship between slots and nodes. The client caches the cluster topology in memory. Third, the client calculates the slot of the key based on hash calculation and queries the mapping relationship between slots and nodes, and then sends the request to the node matched. In this figure is server 2. When server 2 receives the request sent by the client, it will check whether it is the node that satisfies. If yes, server 2 performs the operation and returns the result. While if not, server 2 will inform the client of redirecting the request to server 3 as shown in this figure. Next, if the client receives the redirection response, it will send the reading or writing request to server 3, and server 3 just processes the request the same way as that informer server. This is what we just talked about the reading and writing process, so you can review it again by yourself.
In this section, we talked about the service process of Redis. Next, we will talk about the features and data types provided by Redis.